Hi, Kristaps, and welcome to Inner Power Particles.
Thank you for having me, Farhad.
As I always ask, can you share what do you do today?
So I'm the founder and CEO of a company named Language Inspired. And Language Inspired is a company helping global businesses to deal with language barriers.
So you are helping them to do it how?
So if you would like to grow globally, one of the first challenges is language barrier, and you need to have a proper localization strategy and setup to succeed, and that's what we are helping the companies. So building a localization strategy and helping with the needed resources on language translation.
Welcome to Inner Power Particles. I'm Farhad, the host of the podcast. We talk with entrepreneurs and leaders about how they have solved the challenges in their life or business and how it has transformed into new inner strength in them. And with this, we want to help that you also can look at your life or business situations and see how you can solve the challenges in them, and through that transform them also into new inner strengths, inner power particles in you. Enjoy the show. Okay, you are a CEO and founder of the company, right?
Yes.
And how big is the company? What's the revenue or team size, if you could share?
So currently we are a bit over 2 million, about 2.3 million turnover. So the company is a remote company. So we have workers, colleagues in different places. This business itself is set up in a setting where we have a lot of contractors and freelancers who do the translation work for us,
Yeah.
and the core team in management is about 15 people right now.
Okay, so it's pretty effective. And how long have you been doing it?
The company is founded 2008.
Okay, so it's 14 plus 2, 16 years.
Yeah.
16 years. Mm. It's already exceptional length, meaning many founders have this aspiration of build the company and then grow it and exit after, well, the time span varies from 3 to 7 years is the most frequent that I hear. And your journey is different. Can you give some light on it? Was it your intent from the beginning to be in a long game, or what has been your journey since founding the company?
So to answering that, I guess yes, I kind of see things in long term. As we see, company is founded 2008. Also, the business environment was different.
It
So
was
it
hard
was
then.
so it was the company is bootstrapped. So the businesses back then were also mostly focused on long term journeys. This was initially that I saw this as what I do for a longer period of time, and probably it's also because it's just what I like to do. So that's kind of my job is my hobby thing.
So you start a company doing what you like to do, and then there's no reason to sell it. Like, why do you sell what you like to do, right?
Yeah, about so.
Okay, but if you would transport us back when you started the company, why did you do it? What was your plan or idea or vision back then?
So the initially actually how we started, I had a co-founder, and we started initially with a different idea. This was a time when LinkedIn was just started, and we were kind of thinking about something similar to LinkedIn,
Okay.
to build something like that, but we didn't have the resources, we didn't have the experience. We were just kind of exploring things. I think it was like young guys interested to kind of be entrepreneurs, doing themselves something. I think it was like inner voice of having challenges and being working like creating your own vision. That was, I think, the initial kind of spark of what we started. But
How
actually,
did it evolve then? Because you didn't build
yeah,
LinkedIn.
yeah. So pity that we didn't build LinkedIn, but we kind of realized quite soon that this is not a business idea we can make profitable bootstrapped company. And I just kind of thought, okay, so it was a crisis in Latvia, so I looked also for a paid job, but when I was going to interviews, it was like kind of at some point I felt that my experience is too senior for some positions that was available at time. I didn't get a good offer. I looked also international for work, so there was some remote interviews for me, but I didn't get a good offer. So as I needed kind of money to live, I just started the company with the other guy. We were thinking about the different idea. I was saying that, okay,
with the same guy, or
yeah, with the same guy. So we worked together in a company, in a language service company. And I was saying, okay, let's build a language service company so we can get some money in, and then we figure out whatever we do with that.
Mm-hmm. And what was your plan initially? Did you have some grand idea how it's different, or let's just start and do and see what happens?
At the start, it was really just let's start and do and see what happens.
Yeah.
After kind of first year, when we realized that it was maybe not so easy on one hand, it was like you could not pay yourself, but after the first year we kind of get to deals where it kind of broke even with the company. We got profitable, and also during just this first year I realized that's actually I really pretty much love to do. So we continued with this idea to build language service company.
Okay. I will say something mean, maybe just to confront a bit the situation. And you start a company which is basically doing translations for, I assume, other companies mostly. Yeah. There's like plenty of such companies in every country, and they all even compete with each other globally. From outside, I know it just from outside, but it looks so easy to start such a company. Yes, you just put a sign, hey, we do translations, then you find some translators, here you go. How have you managed to grow that big with this business, and like what's your secret sauce here?
So very good question. First of all, yeah, it was maybe when we compare also the first idea about kind of tech company like LinkedIn and a language service company, the entry barrier was much lower. So that was what we figured out. And then we faced reality that it's a tough competition actually. So still at that point there was the business environment was not so global. So the competition were mostly regional.
So you competed with but still it's like tens of other companies, some well known already.
Yeah, so we started to look into innovation and how we can make, like you said, some secret sauce that is actually needed for B2B clients to choose us instead of some competition. And going from that, we worked for 5 years together with the co-founder. And after the 5 years, we split because we kind of had different visions of the scale of the company, how the company should operate. So my
and
vision.
How big to create it?
Yeah. Also other, I would say, classic disagreements between co-founders. You know, sometimes when you have not at the start discussed some things, how we will deal with that or this question, and somehow we didn't manage to find good collaboration there to grow together. So we agreed that I buy out the company parts of the other founder, and yeah, that was a point where I kind of started to build actually a vision more than just starting a business that, as you said, it's full of companies similar. So that was really the point where I started to realize that adding some differentiators is the key to success. And that's.
But do I get it correctly that after remaining a solo founder, then your vision started to open up?
Yes.
Okay. We will also get, I'm curious to talk about this parting ways with co-founder, but a bit later. So vision started opening up, and do I understand correctly that you started to see ways how you can step out from this undifferentiated competition?
Yeah, so at that point, I think that was the turning point that I understood it. When I look back, it was already before that. Kind of my vision was that the company is a global player. So, but it was much harder these days back. So if I kind of contacted someone not from our region, it was very hard to sell to them because they looked like you are like from Eastern Europe, so it's probably connected with less knowledge, more risks. So, but actually, I managed to start the global vision and onboard global customers already at this point. But still, we were pretty much operating like a regional LSP, and at that point, I understood that I need to go out of this kind of red ocean market and look into blue ocean market, because this was actually, I predict that this will be a dying market as it will be disrupted. How it functioned before, it was like basically like large language service companies from US, from Western Europe had the end clients, and they distributed the work to other language service providers.
Like subcontractors.
Yeah, like subcontractors in regions. So this was pretty much like for decades how the business functioned. And at about 2010, 2014, it was time when you could disrupt that system. And I realized that there is the chance to work different and change the course of the company.
Still coming back to parting ways with your co-founder, you mentioned that you had different visions. What was his vision? So your vision was a global company, yes?
So maybe not to comment in for the other co-founder, but yeah, this was the disagreement. I was interested to really scale the company globally, and when we spoke about investments and actions we should take, it was more risky to go with that approach as to hold back to the business model that worked and get some money in. There started a disagreement, and we kind of tried to sort things out and understood that the best way is to not work in a company with two visions.
Yeah, it's very important.
Doesn't match. So
because you then can't go ahead with the company. One wants to go that direction, so scale, and not that direction, which is profit, and they are not compatible, at least in midterm, definitely. So just want to highlight that by exiting a co-founder with whom you are not aligned, you actually released the brakes for the company.
Exactly.
It's easier to go ahead and open up your own, because also like discussing ideas, ideation together, brainstorming, it can't happen if me and you, we want different things. Like how do we brainstorm together that idea?
Yeah, that was pretty much the case. So and I'm thankful for that moment. It's a good school and good background that you have. So you've been there and tried and understood for yourself how it's working with a co-founder, how it's working as a solo entrepreneur. So yeah, thankful for that experience.
Okay. And so you decided to do something differently, and then what?
So this was the point where we have worked a lot with global companies in our industry, and I have accumulated already kind of industry experience because I studied in the field and then freelance and tried different positions, and then that I had the idea. So we were able to look into the biggest players in the market, like from back office or like the kitchen, how they do things. And you could see that different companies had different approaches. It was not like everyone has the same formula how to succeed.
Yeah.
So different approaches, uh, and this was our chance was to see what works, what doesn't work for the biggest industry players, and we took that experience to kind of create our way how to do things. So we were kind of in a position to understand, so this is not working, this is working, so we took the things that works in favor for the end result and tried to avoid the things that doesn't work. So what doesn't work for like client side, then there is the provider side who is actually working, so the people who is doing the work. So that's also important when you are the biggest player and everyone who is working for you dislikes you. This is a sign that something is not right in some parts of your recipe.
Okay, so you by doing the by being the subcontractor, you learned from the companies who were delegating the work for you. So at the same time making some money, but also learning how to become the main player yourselves with time.
Yeah,
Do I get it right?
Yeah, that's about right. So we analyzed what they are doing and created our own way to do
Okay.
it better.
Then the conclusions to which you arrived, let's look at them from two dimensions. One dimension is the practicality specific to your industry, and let's not talk about these. But there are underlying principles or underlying values or modus operandi, ways of operating, which can be universalized. Could you try to go this level deeper and share with me what were the things that you learned from these observations on this deeper level, which can ring true for companies outside your immediate competitor field as well?
Yeah, good question. I think about what should be highlighted here. So maybe a few things that was. I think that's important for any business. So we figure out that we constantly need to have close contact with the end client, and to kind of listen what they actually need and how they think things should work for them. So it's not that the industry offers some solution for them that's actually not working in their environment. Maybe that's a point what I could share.
And how do you practically apply in your work? So let's say I'm some software app and then I want to run in 40 languages. I would turn to your company for service. What is your approach? How do you know what is good for me instead of what's your usual custom practice?
Yes, what we do is look from perspective of the client. What is the existing tech stack? What is the goals of the company they would like actually to achieve? And going out from that perspective, we try to build a roadmap, the strategy, how to succeed to that. So it's not like introducing them with new tech they should buy or introducing with new procedures, but applying the service, the solutions from our side so they work seamlessly with their existing workflows, so the localization process is not a burden but a help for the company, so they can grow fast and not think about like the internal processes.
So do I get it right that you have your own type of how you do things, but for each client you also make some part which is customized for this particular client?
Yeah, so we try to work with like agile methodology, so not applying kind of workflows that works for one company to other companies. So there are of course kind of common workflows, they work for everyone, but the main point is staying agile and staying connected. So improving in process. So for example, if a company comes to us, so we have this software, and like each week we have an update. Then we can create seamlessly continuous localization process where we see what is the tech stack they have, so where is the content, so how we can get the content to us and push that content back to them in certain time they need it. So basically we set up a strategy and a process where we put everything together, and their team that produce the content push it to us at, for example, 3 o'clock on Wednesday, and at 3 o'clock on Friday the content is published in all markets they need.
So practically it means from the client side they experience you as almost custom service provider for their needs, but you on your side you have your own system, but then this connector with the client is custom for each client.
So we use best of breed technologies on the market, so we don't use only one technology partner to solve the problems for our clients, but we can choose what is the best way for their existing tech stack, workflows, and often it's also connected. You can, for the different departments and workflows, you use different solutions to make all the things kind of seamlessly.
Mm-hmm. Okay. How do you manage things inside your own company? I mean, you are the solo founder at the moment and CEO. Then you have the management team, and how much freedom or flexibility you give to your team? Is it like you decide everything, or what's your system inside?
So I would describe that I'm the vision man. So I have the vision. I kind of determine the directions where we go, for what goals we go as a company.
Can you give example of a goal?
Of a goal, for example, very kind of universal example is revenue. So we decide kind of realistically look at our possibilities or capacities, okay. And so that's our revenue goal, and then we connect that with all the departments in the company, so all the management leaders we have, so we agree how can we get to that. So it means if we look at revenues, you can easily calculate it. So what is the monthly turnover you need to achieve that? So then you translate that to actions.
But who comes up with those actions? Is it you or is it the department heads?
It's the department heads. It's what we foster in the company. It's teamwork, and it's a work where we can work together. So like I said, kind of 5x the revenue this year, and you figure out how to do it. On one hand it is, so the leaders of departments can figure out also and have their vision and have their kind of, so they have the challenge to figure out things. That's not that I say, so you need to do that or this. In that case, I'm the responsible person also who said, like, we're doing this with these exact steps to achieve this. It's a collaboration, so we discuss what's our vision, what's the directions. If we speak about like revenue, where can we gain kind of market shares, where we see the opportunities, and that's where we come together and speak about. So I see the opportunity there, sales team sees the opportunities elsewhere, marketing
who
team.
Who decides then?
Who decides? As a founder, of course, I have kind of big influence, but I think this decision is made by common sense in team spirit. So what we just kind of set our goals this year, and we are working on them. And one of the kind of most important points was that I was the one who envisioned some things that I think will bring us the results. And when I discussed with every team in the company, it was like very important for us to have everyone on board, like 100% on board, that we are doing this. If like for certain goals, maybe some of the team leaders said, no, this will not bring us results, this is not what we need to do. So we discussed, so what can we do and what not, and also be realistic to not set like 20 goals and so the number is reduced to few goals, but the goals should be stretched so it stretch our capabilities. So in the end, we are proud of what we did. So it's like you maybe know also the methodology. So you kind of try to stretch the goal. So first you come up with a certain goal, and then you ask yourself, so how do I feel about this goal I set? Do I set it from perspective that this is what I think I'm capable of, or this is something that I think it's hard to achieve and I would feel good about it, or this is already a goal that I think, oh, that's very hard to achieve, maybe not even possible, but if I could achieve this goal, I would be really proud of. So that's kind of one of the edges how we try to set the goals.
And I wanted to try to understand a slightly different thing, that in a company structure usually there's like a CEO, and let's detach from the founder, just the CEO, and then let's say there's CMO and CSO and CPO, and then regarding decisions, okay, we want to reach this and this increase in revenue, how do we achieve it? And then let's say the CMO says, okay, we could do this, and CSO says we could do that. Then does the CMO hear what others think and says, okay, then my decision is to do these things? Or is it more that you as CEO say, okay, I heard out everyone, you will do this and this project? Or is it like, okay, let's vote, and then majority vote? So there are so many ways. Maybe I have my own opinion, which is more correct way than the incorrect way, but I'm curious, what's the practice in your company?
The practice in our company is that the leader of the perspective department is the decision maker.
Okay.
So the sale kind of came up with the targets for sales, and the sales leader is in charge of kind of saying the end word. So we will do that or this to achieve that.
Yeah. So this is like a healthy way, also in my opinion, that you distribute who is responsible for what types of decisions, and then they make their own decisions, but also to add the budget lever, meaning if the decision is above budget X, then it's a board decision, not your decision, even if it's in your functional area to make these types of decisions.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it functions in our company.
Okay, then it's very healthy. Somehow, by talking with your colleagues, got an impression that it feels like a harmonious environment, and usually this saying that the fish is doing something from its head. Yes, so you and being harmonious, somehow also talking with you feel that you come up as a harmonious person. Can you reflect something on this topic?
I think it's maybe that's connected to values and to kind of how I look at life. That's probably better answered by the persons.
How do you look at life?
How do I look at life? So I believe in God, so I practice also my believing. I'm going to a Lutheran church, so and that's probably the point where the values come from, and that's the point how I look at life. So when you speak how people maybe feel when they work with me, probably that could be connected with the long-term vision and what I have also kind of figured out in my entrepreneurial journey, that for me it's not just about making profits or being proud of having developed certain brand name. It's about the journey itself, how you feel it what's the feeling during the journey, and that's something also we try to foster in the company. So we stay at our values, and the values are more important than profit. Ethical way of working with all people we face, whatever.
Okay. Can you share a bit more? Values I also use, I know it's not a synonym, I use word principles. What are some of your values or principles which impact the way how you lead the team or how you interact with people?
Values and principles. Some of the values and principles I could share is we value each person we face. So it's not just about, let me think how to better express it. I think that universal kind of value we foster is, I believe myself in, and I try to foster in the company, is that when we do something, we look if that's valuable and ethical to everyone involved. That means like we have rule in company also that we are working with content, and when we get content on client, and if someone in the company feels that this kind of content is not what we would be kind of proud of, that someone said we represent it in a certain way, we worked with that, then we kind of came up and decide what to do with it. For a practical thing is, for example, we don't work with gambling, so I don't believe that's something that contributes good to society, so we don't work with this type of content. So how I say it, how I put it to companies, that there is so much good work we can do, so we focus on that instead of accepting and doing whatever comes our way.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And this means also, so when we look with companies we work with clients we work with, we have kind of the principle that we look at them that I would be ready to buy that product myself, and I'm proud of that we can work with that company. That's like very, very maybe simple to measure it, because when we work with, when we speak about like values, and so we can put it in kind of difficult words or fancy words, but not always we can understand that, and the focus is like practically keeping the attitude that we go through journey, and the business is business. We need to be profitable, we need to make wise decisions, but the decisions should be in harmony with us, with our values. So in the end of the day, we are happy about what we did today, this year, and feel that we added some value in the end with our work.
So you are positioning your company as ethical business and not working with types of businesses that you see unethical, which I assume attracts those which consider themselves to be more on the ethical side of the business. So it's I always believe in this, that it makes sense to say explicitly what I stand for and what I do not support. Like in my case, I explicitly say that as a mentor, I have 3 dimensions that I cover. This is the business, psychological, and transcendent. If you have problem with one of these, then perhaps we should not work together. Or if you want to focus only on business, there are many other business consultants with who focus on the business side, and you will be happier with them in this case. So it's something similar.
Yeah,
maybe.
exactly. I totally agree that when you speak explicitly about what you believe and what you do, also that kind of organically attracts similar value, similar thinking businesses, people around you.
You mentioned Lutheran Church. I've also read Bible a few times, and I keep wondering about one passage there. I want to ask your opinion, explanation of it. This is that part where told that for a rich man it is as hard to experience kingdom of God as for a camel to go through the needle's eye. but only God can help in this case. So how do you recognize
Yeah,
this?
of course I know this passage.
Yes.
So
So okay, what's your opinion on it?
that's opinion.
And I mean not theological opinion, but very practical, like to build a business. Business has profit, yes, and on the other hand, this passage about making it hard to experience kingdom of God with all these riches.
So yeah, I can speak only about me. I'm not a theologer. But kind of how I see it's all about what's the most important for you. So if your life is just about the money, so it's very hard to get through that needle eye. Yeah, so this certainly doesn't mean that Christianity or Bible says that business is something wrong or that money is bad. It's the same story about knife. What we can do with a knife, you can do quite of different functions. You can kill someone and you can cut bread to feed someone. I think I see it like that.
Yeah. Okay. I remembered some my own thoughts on this topic. It's like business. On one hand, people say that its sole purpose is to generate profit. I think it's a bit misunderstood, because to me business is an organized way to achieve something, and then the profit is the good byproduct of achieving this something. And then, of course, for the financial investor, their end product is the profit for the business. But for the entrepreneur, it is to achieve this something. And then the question is, what is this something? And this something is, I would put it this way, that it is either contribution. Even if I get goods moved from point A to point B, I have contributed to those who need them from point A to point B. I make this thing to happen. Or it is an experience. Some people just do business just out of liking the experience that it is giving. But then about the money, why I see that it is taking away, and what is kingdom of God? It is, if I take it in a very down-to-earth terms, then it is inner freedom. So I'm internally free from actions, beliefs, patterns that are making myself truly unhappy, actually. So, and if now we look at money, then chasing money for the sake of money, it is not chasing money, it is a representation of something. And for many people, this money is a representation of either security or freedom. People even say that I want money because it gives me freedom. But what it means actually, if someone who feels internally unfree or feels lack of self-belief then gets money before solving this lack of self-belief, then you will never solve it later, because then now you have kind of solved it with the money. You have the money, so you feel secure, but the lack of self-belief hasn't been solved, or lack of inner security hasn't been solved. This is how I see that why it becomes hard for the rich man to see the kingdom of God.
Yeah, you said it very good. Yeah, so that's the point. It's not about that having money you cannot get in. The thing is that you need to love your God above everything. So and should be able to find your freedom and your peace in God and not in things like money. Like you said, people try to solve the insecurity with money, but it never happens that you feel really secure, peaceful, and kind of happy when you got there with a lot of money. That doesn't solve the core of the problem. And as you mentioned here, Bible also says everyone should use their own gifts given from God. So this is what I have also realized in kind of my journey at some point. Few years back, I had also the question once again. So I'm in certain age, at a certain point of my journey, and am I aligned with what I should do in my life? And the question was, yeah, so is entrepreneurship the right path for myself? So it was the question. So whatever I don't lose my my kind of calling uh, uh, on the way. So if you grow business, so it can suck you in. So you are busy with the business, and if you are still aligned with your calling and got kind of answer, use your gifts, what's you're given, and be in that places where church will not be.
I want to add here that gift, it's important what you said, meaning there's the function in life and leading this translation service company is a function that you do, and if you feel there's some calling that you additionally need to do, this is the mission then. But both can coexist. It's not necessary to extremely now, I don't know, sell the company and go full in. They can coexist. That's one. And other is these gifts that you mentioned. They're of two types. One is the gifts that we just are born with, but another is the gifts that we have earned through life by solving the challenges in life, because we understand stuff on a very deep level. Not just like I read in a passage in a book and now I will preach you this passage, but I have understood it very deeply. And this also becomes then part of my setup, my gifts, which I can contribute from. So, and this is the mission part then. But I just wanted to comment on one thing. You mentioned God several times, and before a few minutes I said that I am representing this dimension, which is the transcendent, but I feel very comfortable also working with people who do not believe in God. And why I feel comfortable, because when we talk, I have found a way how to explain this transcendent dimension without touching the topic of does God exist or no. The super simple example is such that imagine it's Friday evening, friends have invited you to go out, and you know there will be drinking, and you know that with these particular friends the drinking will be quite heavy, and then if you will just go with the flow, next morning you wake up not in a good condition. So, but at the same time you can hear or feel an inner voice which is saying that, okay, maybe it's okay to go and meet friends, but maybe don't drink, maybe just take a tea or non-alcoholic beer. So this voice, which is telling this sober and proper message, is the higher is part of the higher self, and to me, higher self is part of what represents God. So even for someone who completely doesn't believe in the existence of God, he would not deny existence of this smarter voice, wiser voice inside, yes, and then follow this voice, because this voice is also the one that is leading towards understanding what is the mission, what is the contribution, all these light aspects of being. Just wanted to comment on this.
Yeah.
I personally believe in God, but I also accept that there are people who do not believe. But it's close to impossible to not believe in this inner voice.
A good explanation and good way to communicate with those people. I also don't have any problem with different thinking or different or people having different vision on life. Maybe one aspect what we can see in life, if we what you said about the gifts you earn during the life. We have a journey that we go through, and I have kind of seen that if in terms to grow, we need to face some of our fears, challenges, and if you once kind of neglect that or avoid that, you will be always thrown back to that point until you face that, conquer that, and earn the gifts. And very often that's where you get the most precious gifts you can later use in different areas of life.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. How I see it is that a person has a destiny. Destiny, it's like a quite big road, meaning there's a lot of room to move from one side to another, but you can't move outside the road. It's impossible to move outside the road. And then the road, it leads you in certain directions, and people usually don't want to go in these certain directions. You can feel in your life when I have these moments when I want to keep going that direction, but the road is already going there. And if I try to kind of insist going there, then challenges, the problems start to appear. And then by working with these problems, understanding what I need to solve in myself now, in order to understand, like, okay, but where is the road actually going and why I'm not flowing with it, then this is what gives this inner growth, actually, instead of just trying to push things through. There was one topic in the very beginning, actually, that we touched slightly, and I still wanted to cover it a bit, because this is important for many entrepreneurs, which is parting ways with a co-founder. You remember you mentioned that you parted also with your. You also, before the interview, you told me that it's already so long ago for you, but still, what were some takeaways that you see that you did right in parting ways, and what were the things some things you would do differently with today's perspective? And this, what you are going to share, my intent is that it supports someone who is thinking about maybe parting ways with the co-founder, or have already decided but thinking how to do it properly. So
First thing would be what I realized later. It's important to do the homework before you agree to co-found something. Kind of start to go through all the questions you can find on the internet. You can ask Cocoon, and they probably can help young founders to understand how to resolve conflicts, how to handle certain things when disagreement appears, and what is the expectations actually and the visions of the co-founders.
We have a workship on these topics.
So would be would be happy to get that workshop before we founded the company. So that's a kind of first learning. So think before you do. Be more intentional. What I did right, what we did right, was that at a certain point when we realized that there is some disagreement, we sit down and kind of started to talk how we deal with that now. So we are just getting stuck if we don't get to agreement. And yeah, so that was the point, to don't walk around and hope something will solve on the way later someday. Yeah. But if you feel that it is not working, come together, talk, figure out, get some people in to help you to discuss that if you are both too passionate to deal with that yourselves. And in our case, we figured out that the best way is kind of split apart. We agreed that I buy the company parts of the other founder, so we figure out what is the deal that's acceptable for both of us.
About the deal, so did you agree, did you pay like all cash up front, or was there some down payment?
The agreement was I paid all cash up front. Yeah. So and yeah, so yeah, we figured out what's kind of reasonable for.
How did you arrive to a reasonable number?
Oh, that was kind of doing homework, doing calculations, knowing the company.
What principles did you use? Like, I'm not asking what was the price, but let's say I have a company, it's generating this and this revenue, this and this profit or no profit. So I assume you didn't go to some evaluation business, you did it yourself somehow.
Yeah, we kind of found first all the possible info on that. Yeah. Started to put numbers on paper and did some few consultations basically with like each of the sides, so we kind of understand that it's like the right number, that's not like created just from other founder, like, yeah, I think it's worth this or that because of this formula I found on internet. We kind of did the homework, researched, asked some people selling buying companies, looked realistically, so what's the client portfolio, what's the revenue, what's the profit, and just came to an agreement.
Mm-hmm. Anything you would have done differently today from what you did back then?
Not really. I think it was fair deal.
Okay. I feel like concluding with one takeaway from our conversation, which I don't hear the first time, which is that to build a harmonious company, you ideally would be building something that you do not plan or want to sell eventually. Maybe you will sell it later, but this is not the plan. This is not the goal of doing it. That you are doing something that you just like, the way you like it. That's the main thing here.
Yeah, that's my approach. So I just kind of try to build a company where everyone working with us feels valued and feels good at the place. So in the end of the working day, everyone feels happy about what he did today, and that's what why I'm believe in bootstrapping in certain business types. Certain maybe it's for certain business type is not realistic today to be bootstrapped. That's not something like I would say is good or bad, but for businesses, what's with the purpose to kind of create what you just like to do and not like plan to create value and sell. I think it's important to figure out how to run the business profitable soon enough so you can go that path. Otherwise, I think it's more complicated.
Okay. All right. Let's complete with this note. Bootstrapping.
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you, Kristaps.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.